Welcome back to the Learn to Love You show. I am your host, Renita Hills, and I am so happy to have you back for the last part of our safety series. I am so excited, and I thank you so much for hanging in there with me. I'm your host, as I said before, and I'm also the founder and CEO of Voice of the Victim. We work with victims and survivors of domestic abuse, abusive behaviors, and sexual assault. We help them to transition from being a victim to survivor and ultimately a thriver in spite of the abuse they have endured. We're going to close out our series today talking about items to take when you're leaving, and we're talking a little bit about money. It's a challenge. It's a huge challenge to prepare physically, mentally, emotionally, and financially to leave that relationship. Some of us have been in the relationship so long and not had a job, so we really haven't had a chance to make our own money. If we've had a job and made our own money, we've let our partner have control of that money. Forget about just the money part of it. The whole gamut. Let's talk about the whole gamut. Things you need to pack. We're going to talk about packing first. And in the earliest episodes, we talked about this a little bit, but we're going to hammer it in. You need to get identification for yourself. Like I said, you're going to keep the card identification in your wallet because you don't want it to seem like anything different or out of the way is happening. So you're going to keep your regular driver's license or your ID in your wallet. You're going to go to the DMV and you're going to get a paper copy of yourself to put in your to-go bag. That's a suitcase that you're going to have an extra pair of clothes for yourself and your children. You're going to get copies of your ID, as I said, your birth certificates, school and shot records, your checkbook, a copy, an extra book. Now, you know, when you order a book, they give you like 10 of them. You're going to take one, probably the last one, and you're going to throw it in that suitcase. So you're going to take your checkbook, an ATM card, the extra set of keys to your house, your car, and or your office, medications. You don't want to take the whole bottle. One thing you want to do is take pictures of the medication, the bottle of your pills, your medication. Take pictures of it and email it to yourself. Then delete the picture because if they go through your phone and see that medication there, they're going to wonder why. So you're going to take the pictures of all of your medications and email them to your own personal account that they do not have access to. If you don't have an account like that, send it to one of your friends' accounts that they do not have access to. Send that email pictures of your medications to yourself. Now, you might want to get a spare bottle and take maybe 2 or 3 pills and out of that and put it into that spare bottle of all the pills that you're taking for that week or that time period that you think you might need. But you don't want to put a whole bottle in there. You don't want to leave clues that you're about to leave. That's the end game. You want to leave without having clues that of what you're doing and what your next step is. Welfare identification card, work permit, green cards. We have a lot of people who are here that are from other countries and they come here on a green card or their visas. You want copies of that put away in that suitcase as well. We're not judging. We just want you to be safe. If you need help, don't worry as much about being sent back across the border or to your country or wherever you come from. Worry about being alive here. First step is to stay alive. Then you can worry about the other pieces next. But make copies of those things so you can have that in your possession in the suitcase with the extra pair of clothes. Make sure you get the children's birth certificates. Make sure you have copies, but keep the original in your house where you've always kept them. I keep them in a file cabinet. I would make copies of the birth certificates, put the copies in the suitcase, put the originals back in the file cabinet. So if they go flipping through it, there's nothing missing. It's still there. Social Security cards, make copies of that. Actually, if you go to Social Security Administration, they will send you a second copy. That way you'll have one copy that stays where it always is, and then that second copy, the new one, Don't put the new one where you had the old one. They'll look at it and say, wait a minute, that's a new copy, and the other one was frayed. Keep the old one where they were, put the new one in your to-go bag. Credit cards. You may not be able to take the actual card, but get the copy of the bill. Put that bill in that bag. Make a copy of that bill and put it in the bag. That way, when you get where you're going, you'll at least have access to the accounts. We talked about driver's license and registration. Make sure your registration, you do the same thing for that, and your insurance. Keep a copy of your protective order in the to-go bag. Keep that there. Money. I saved the money for last on purpose. Money. That's going to be very tricky because if you have, you don't have your own account where they don't have access to, they're going to be looking at where that money is going. They're going to watch. So you're going to have to be really smart. Think. You have to think like you're playing a game of chess. If you don't know how to play chess, I'm not saying go out there and be a chessboard master, but learn the rules of the game. Chess, you think 2 and 3 steps ahead of what the next person is going to do. Checkers is jump by jump. You don't want to do jump by jump. You this, I do that. You do this, I do that. I step back, you go forward. You don't want that. You want to be able to think forward. You want to think progressively. You want to think the end game. So when you're talking about money, if you have a joint account, that's going to be probably one of the last things you touch with the joint account because you don't want to take it too early and they look at it and say, oh, wait a minute, I had 2,000 in here and I only got 500. What did you do with the money? That's going to be one of the last things you bother if it's a joint account. You're going to have to figure out ways to save money or to take money and put it away in small amounts and in small increments. That's something you're going to have to work out with both your attorney, your financial planner, and your advocate. They're going to sit down with you with the same piece of paper that I'm working from, and they're going to help talk you through on how to get your finances in a place to where you can leave and be successful and not have to come back. If you got passport, divorce papers, medical records for all your family members, lease agreements, rental lease agreements, house deeds, mortgage payment books, bank books, insurance paper, address books. Make sure you take your address book with you. You leave that behind and they can go straight through your address book and try and figure out where you are. I know not many people keep address books anymore. Some of us still do. Some of us still could write names, addresses, and phone numbers down in one specific place so they can flip back to it. Put that information in your to-go bag as well. With children, please, 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 remember to take their favorite toy with them, their favorite blanket, their favorite item, their pajamas, their favorite thing to sleep in. Take something that makes them have the comfort of feeling like they're safe. To take a child, some people have to leave in the middle of the night and they're snatching them up with whatever they got on, that's what they got. But remember to get them something for the children too. Their favorite teddy bear. Have something for them. One of the things that Voice of the Victim does is when we know that there are children involved, we have a whole lot of teddy bears, games, toys, little trucks for our little boys, little dolls for the little girls, and we have small groups and we use those toys and those tools to help support our babies. Sometimes we forget how much this type of event, this type of scenario, how it affects our babies. We are trying to break the generational. My grandmother did it to my grandfather. My uncle did it to my aunt. My daddy did it to my mama, and my brothers did it to my sisters, and my husband did it to me. So now my children are going to be doing. No, we can break that. We can break that. And the best way to break that is having conversations in our small groups. We want to get these toys and these tools and these safety blankets and these teddy bears, and we sit down in small groups and we teach our babies while they're babies, while they're still toddlers. We teach them the right way to give and to receive love. What it looks like to show somebody you care. It doesn't look like cussing them out. It doesn't look like disrespecting them. It doesn't look like stripping and demeaning them. And it certainly doesn't look right like somebody hitting or being hit. We want to make sure that you have pertinent information already on you, memorized. I prefer memorized, but at least already on you. The local police department and sheriff's department, that's easy, 911. But sometimes in a panic, you can mess up. On your cell phones, they have an emergency button. You don't even have to think. Push the emergency button and they'll find you. You want to have the number to the prosecutor's office. You want to have the number to the local shelter. And at the end of every single clip that we do, every single post that we put up, every single YouTube that we put out there, the 800 number is there for you to use. Memorize that number, 1-800-799-SAFE, 1-800-799-7233. Memorize that number. If you can't memorize it, because I don't. So I have a piece of paper with me at all times. It's programmed into my phone, and somewhere on my computer, it's on my screen. That number is there for me. It's in front of me today because I don't remember it. So I understand not being able to commit it to memory, but have it somewhere where you have access to it. You want the county registry for protective orders. If you file the protective order, you need that phone number. So in the event that you don't have the original, can't put your hand on the copy, let me call and get them to email me a copy of that protective order. They can do that for you, or mail it to you. They can do that for you, or let them know I'm on my way down there to get a copy and they can have it prepared for you. But you need the number for the county registry of protective orders. You need the state registry of protective orders. I'm giving you a whole lot. I totally and completely understand that I'm giving you a plethora of things to remember. But this is not something you can't get yourself. If you want it, just go to the comment line and I will make sure that you get a copy of this for yourself or give you the link to where you can print it out for yourself. You need your supervisor's home phone number. What I need my supervisor's phone number for? That ain't their business. Yes, it is. You might have to run in the middle of the night and not be able to go to work the next morning because you don't have clothes to wear. The to-go bag is something you need to prepare. Absolutely. That needs to be something you need to do. But let's say something happens this evening before you're ready to prepare or before you have prepared your to-go bag. You need to be able to call your supervisor and say, I won't be in tomorrow, and tell them why. Tell HR why, so that they can give you resources through their job to help you get yourself back together, get your legs back under you. You'd be surprised at how many resources that we have available to us through our HR and our medical plans. There are so many things, so many resources available to you through your medical plan. But this is something that we call an embarrassing thing to talk about. So we don't want to go to HR and say, look, I'm going through an abusive relationship. I need some help. They can give you free counseling, free therapy, free mental health, free resources. You might even have an attorney. You might be paying for a free attorney and not even realize it because you did not ask. Talk to your human resource department and see if they can help you with that. And above all, take care of yourself. Take time to take care of you. You cannot pour from an empty cup. You're constantly giving. You're constantly protecting. You're constantly playing the game of, ooh, let me duck and hide. Ooh, let me duck and dodge. If you don't take time to put more into you, at some point you're going to break because there's nothing left. And if you're not whole, if you're not complete, or at least as complete as you can be, who's going to be there for your babies? Who's going to be there to take care of you if you don't take time to take care of you? I say all this with all the love I have in my heart for each and every one of you, victim and abuser. I love you deeply, and I want all of us to get the help we need. We talked a lot about being a victim. At some time, we're going to talk about the help that we have for the abusers as well, because this is a learned behavior. And I like to equate it to trees on the leaves on the tree. I'm sick of the leaves on the tree. I'm sick of the leaves on the tree. So I'm going to prune that. I'm going to prune that. I'm going to prune that. In the fall, the leaves fall off and you look, yay, the leaves are off the tree. But guess what? Spring is coming back. The leaves are going to come back. You didn't solve the problem. If you want the tree to be dead, if you want the tree to die, if you want to get rid of the tree, you got to cut it down at the root. You got to cut it down at the root. And that same thing applies to domestic violence, abusive behaviors, and sexual assault. We got to go all the way back to the beginning and find out what made you think, what seed was planted, why and where in that timeline that you think this was okay. And then we got to reprogram. We got to delete that and put something else positive in its place. We got to go do the same thing for our victims. What made us think that it was okay to get hit? And that's okay to receive love. We got to go back to the beginning. We got to take that out and replace it with something bigger, better, brighter, something more fabulous. And guess what? There are going to be times that, and I'm not promising this for all cases, but I know personally there of a case when the victim and survivor, victim and abuser were living together and it did not work. They separated. They each got help. They got to the root of their problem. They got the counseling and the support they need. And they end up getting back together and they learned how to love each other in a way that God has created us to love. Did they still argue? Oh, yeah, absolutely. They did. But they learned when they got to a certain point to say, okay, look, I'm going to go for a walk, or I'm going to go to the other room. We're going to write down what we're really angry about. Then we're going to come back and we're going to switch papers and we're going to read it. Because we can't talk to each other right now. Because we're going to write it down, we're going to switch it, and we're going to read. This is how this couple learned to love on each other. It took work. It took time. It took a lot of effort. It took a lot of counseling. And yes, it took a whole lot of prayer. But it can happen if both parties are working for the same thing. Now, flip side of that coin, sometimes it just don't work. It's just not going to work. You have to learn to be separate and still be able to be friendly or at least kind to each other. If not for each other, for the children. Because the way you treat each other, you're showing them how they should treat other people and how they should be treated. With that being said, we're going to talk about this some more another time. We have a lot coming up soon. My producer's back there just nodding. Oh, yeah, we got a lot coming up. We got things, so many things that we want to share with you. We have so many people that's going to be coming on to help us, to encourage you to be the wonderful person God created you to be. Please hang in there with us. Do me a favor. I want you to like, subscribe, share, and give me some comments on my videos. I want to know that we're helping somebody out there. And if you're not the person that's being abused, or if you're not a person that's doing the abusing, you'd be surprised at how many people around you that you might be able to help. You might be saying, I don't know of anybody. None of my people are like that. Don't nobody be messing with folks like that around me. You'd be surprised at how many people in your family reunions, how many people in your church, how many people on your job, how many people that you work out with that go home to abusive people, or they go home to be an abusive person. Share it with them. You never know how many people you're going to be helping, how many people you're going to be blessing, and how many people you're going to be educating. And if it's something you want me to talk about, if there's a subject you want us to address, please put it in the comment section, and I'll be more than happy to do so. I have talked enough for one evening. Thank you so much for joining me once again. This has been such an enlightening and exhilarating experience for me, going through this and sharing these things with you and sharing my story and my life with you. It has been very exciting for me, and it's been therapeutic for me. Believe me, every time I share it, it helps me to be a better person too. It helps me to look at myself to be a better me, and it pours back into my cup so I can share more with you. For tonight, I want to say thank you so much for joining us. And remember, you are fearfully and wonderfully made by the hands of God. And in Zephaniah, it says, He sings to you. He's written a song just for you. You are fearfully and wonderfully made. Beneath your skin, behind your eyes is a beautiful you. Until next time, learn to love you.